And breaking right now, the government has officially, partially shut down, but we are being told it should be short-lived because the Senate is passed a bill tonight to fund most of the government. The House now expecting to pass it as soon as Monday, probably Monday evening. But that deal is now setting up a brand new showdown over the Department of Homeland Security because the Democrats are refusing to fund it for more than 2 weeks as they demand new restrictions for ICE. Watch.
Judicial warrants. The masks have to come off, and body cameras need to be turned on.
The loon wing of the Democrat Party is in control, and they want to defund ICE.
Yeah, well, the panel is standing by with expert analysis as the government now at 12:01 on the East Coast officially shut down. But we begin with the chief congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram, live on Capitol Hill with what he calls his candy bar breakdown. Chad, what can you tell us?
Yeah, candy bar breakdown. This is a partial government shutdown. About 78% of the federal government is now shut down. Unfunded right now is the Pentagon, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Transportation. But the best way to understand this is through a Kit Kat bar. Now, last week, the House of Representatives passed a full spending bill for all of these departments and sent this over to the Senate. So in order for the government to stay funded and stay open, they have to pass the entire bar. Well, Democrats started to say, we need some changes with ICE. So we want to defund the Department of Homeland Security, only fund it for a certain period of time. And so what they did is they broke off the DHS funding bill. Well, at that point, the Senate and the House of Representatives were not aligned. So they passed this entire spending bill on this side, as I say, the Pentagon and the other departments, and then just a 2-week Band-Aid for the Department of Homeland Security. So they have to pass in the House of Representatives what the Senate did. Otherwise, the government shutdown continues. Now, as you say, that vote will be sometime probably Monday night. It appears that there's probably about a 70% chance that they pass this. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, had a conference call with Republicans this evening and implored them, to be here. There's some transportation issues in the country, as you know, because of the weather, that says we might need to carry all the freight on our side of the aisle. Some Democrats will probably vote for this, but there's a lot of Democrats, and we're hearing this in the past couple of hours here, that they're not privy to this agreement that was worked out between the president and Senate Republicans and Senate Democrats. So maybe this is something that just is passed by mostly Republicans in the House of Representatives. But it's going to be a challenge, again, to keep DHS funded in just a couple of weeks here. That is not much time. And Democrats are going to be saying to their base, look, we did something that you wanted. We couldn't defund ICE or the Department of Homeland Security, but we, compelled a partial government shutdown, at least for a couple of days, to show that we are fighting and we're trying to get these provisions in, these guardrails for ICE. Meantime, Republicans on their side, with the politics there, they'll say, we welcome some of this battle. They believe, according to Eric Schmidt, the Republican senator from Missouri, that they are playing on their home field because this deals with the border. That's an issue that they won on in 2024, and they can use the next 2 weeks, Trace, to talk about the importance of the border and the root causes of what's going on in Minnesota.
So let's assume, for the sake of argument, that everything goes as planned and Monday night the House comes back and they pass this. At some point, Chad, do they have to make the candy bar whole again? Because
that's
you
exactly
have 2
what they're
weeks
doing.
down. You have to make 2 weeks down. But what if in 2 weeks they can't come to terms on the whole DHS funding? And then what happens then? Is there a threat to shut the government down again, or just the DHS funding? Is that permanently separate?
Yeah, it's permanently separate. The rest of the candy bar funds the government through the end of September. That's the key. But if you have that DHS part and you haven't gotten that in 2 weeks' time, then just DHS shuts down. And so they might have to come back to that well again and again and again. John Thune, the majority leader in the Senate, told me he thought that 2 weeks would beget 2 more weeks and 2 more weeks on top of that. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, basically said the same thing.
But the Democrats want DHS to be shut down for good, they say, so it would behoove them to not pass the funding bill for DHS.
Well, you see, and that's the point here, and this is where some Republicans are saying we like what ICE is doing. You have, Rick Scott, who has defended ICE here to some degree. You certainly have Eric Schmidt, who I mentioned earlier, Lindsey Graham, the Republican from South Carolina, and they believe that this is kind of a backdoor way for Democrats to really cut into ICE. But the other thing I should say, and this is very important, is that during the big, beautiful bill, the passage of that last summer, the Republicans put into that piece of legislation, tens of billions of dollars to fund ICE through 2029. So even if you were to not fund DHS, you're not defunding ICE. It's an optics issue for the Democrats. Again, I talk about the politics of this, but you can maybe legislatively put in those guardrails that they want and say, well, look, we're not going to provide funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's a hot potato until we get our policy demands.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.